Welcome to Emotional Support Water Bottle with Hannah and Ailish.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Ailish, and we are virtual today because we had some scheduling conflicts. So we're recording a little later and we're virtual, but it's all good. Hopefully, it continues to be.
Well, no technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's the huge for us here. So
Sometimes I listen to other podcasts and they have weird audio and stuff too. So it's not
they
just
have
us.
it too. Yeah, it's not just us, definitely.
No.
It's just tough out here in the podcasting world when we're not big budget yet.
No, we're not in a studio.
Yeah. If there are any companies, podcasting companies that want to take us on,
We're
we
gonna
would
have
be
some more consistency.
Yeah, we'd be more than happy. Before we get too much into the podcast, in case there's any people who only listen to like the first minute of our podcast, I wanted to give them a shout out and say if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please just take a second to give us a 5-star review. And if you have an extra minute or so, write a nice review for us. That would be really appreciated.
Yes.
Also, this is kind of like I don't know, not like a heavier topic, but for work today, I was a part of this little conference for teen girls, and it was called Young Women Lead. And the woman who was the or not the MC, the keynote speaker was a previous life coach on Made. And remember that show from MTV?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just said, yeah. But it was Julie Carrier, and I wouldn't have remembered her by her name. And honestly, like, I don't know if I remember her from the show.
Yeah, I was just I don't really remember like life coaches, but I guess they did like work with specialists, but I can't really remember how the episodes are formatted.
I know, and honestly, when I think about Made, I don't think I could list 5 episodes.
No,
I mean, I
just remember,
watched
like,
Made all the time.
Yeah, or like skateboarder or something, like just like stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it a lot, but obviously it didn't leave a full-on lasting impact.
No.
But I was a little, I guess apprehensive because sometimes those types of things can be a little, I don't know, you just don't know how young girls are going to perceive that kind of stuff and if they're going to interact, engage, and actually get something from it. But I was really pleasantly surprised. I mean, this speaker was so good at getting the girls just into it and inspiring them and getting them to think about just pictures and having confidence. And it was like so beautiful. And I wish that we would have had something like that when we were in high school.
I know. We didn't get anything. Oh, that actually just kind of like piggybacking off of that. Megan Fox, did you end up listening to that?
Yes, I did.
Well,
oh my gosh.
When she was sort of talking about that stuff, like just like body image stuff and like the way the media and stuff, which like talked about her and stuff, and she was talking about her own self-esteem issues, but then it's like that's why we all have, well, not the only reason, these self-esteem issues, because we're seeing like this Megan Fox, this most beautiful girl ever, getting told and being called all these horrible things. And it's like just the way, and we've talked about it before, but like the culture that we grew up in, even as like millennials, and of course the generations before that, we're always like told that. And when she was like, people call me like a slut, and like, all these bad names, and it's like that really like affected people our age and like when we were growing up, and it's like if somebody's going to be saying that about her, like what would they say about us?
For
So that's
sure.
what
And
we had.
I know that's what we had to deal with, and just countering it with, I listened to Megan Fox's Call Her Daddy yesterday, and then I was at this conference today. So it was literally just the juxtaposition of these two things, and it was kind of jarring almost, and it made me happy for these this new generation, but kind of sad for myself and some of the other like adult women that were there with me, because we just have the support like this and we weren't told
Yeah.
all these positive messages.
No, not at all.
No. But
Well,
to
right.
I was gonna say, to like go into the Megan interview too. One of the last questions that Alex Cooper had asked her was about like, how do you kind of have that like, I don't give a F attitude and you don't care what people think? And before Megan even answered, I was like,
Does
well,
she?
yeah, she does care. Like,
Right. That's
how
what
can
she
you?
said, like 20 minutes. Like, I mean, if I get why it kind of seems like she doesn't, but she just spent the whole beginning of the podcast telling you that she is very sensitive.
Right.
So, like, I probably wouldn't have asked that question after I had this whole conversation with her, but yeah.
Well, I think she probably had it ready
Right,
and didn't adjust. But
right.
even that, like, it is funny. And I think I can have that sometimes too, where, I might pretend that have that outer like layer that what people say doesn't really hurt me or affect me, but it does still. I mean, even if I don't value somebody's opinion,
Right.
just it still stings
I know,
and
and
I go,
oh, sorry.
you're fine.
And two, I did like that because you know how they're always like, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can't hurt me. And I like that she like counteracted that. She's like, no, I mean, she was talking about like domestic violence stuff, but she was also talking about like the way people speak to her or like have spoken to her. And it's like, it does hurt. And I do feel like that too, where I'm like, oh, I don't care. They're irrelevant or whatever.
Mhm.
But sometimes it does. And I think it depends too, like what they say. Like if it's like the trigger you think of yourself and then
Yeah.
somebody else says it, it's like that's really triggering. But yeah, it's like actions and words still do hurt. And I feel like so many people just don't pay attention to what they say either.
And sometimes, like when Megan was talking about some of the physical abuse that she had gone through, and um, she said it's kind of not easy, but she can dissociate with that, and
Right.
it's not as hard to talk about that stuff because she does dissociate. But with the sometimes like words really do hurt more,
I
and
know.
even with like if you're being emotionally or verbally abused, like that kind of stays with you.
I know, like that really wears on your brain. And like
Mhm.
if you're already going, like if work's stressful or kids are stressful or whatever, life is stressful, and then to have that on top of that can just really like beat you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like
I
that
I
she
re-
said that.
Me, and it just meant kind of a lot coming from her, because she is someone who has experienced just a lot of different people that she cares about, whether it was in a relationship or from the media.
Right.
And it was just nice to finally like fully hear her talk about it.
I know. I feel like we did actually like. I thought she was really open during the interview too, and was like kind of funny and like personable, because I feel like we really don't get a ton of that from her. So it
Yeah.
was nice. And I thought it was really nice to hear, because she is 36 or 7, or going to be 37. I
Yeah.
can't remember how old she is. But it was just nice to hear that from somebody who is, not that much older than us, and still feels like the way that we're feeling. Because sometimes when I'm like, how old I am, I'm like, why am I getting like I'm acting like a little kid, if I'm upset about
Yeah.
something. But it's nice to hear, like, okay, she also gets upset by certain things too.
Yeah, and just that it still is normal to go through peaks and valleys in your life.
Yeah,
I mean, she was very transparent about saying that she's going through a difficult time right now. And
right,
I mean, she still came out and did this interview, but it's okay to have these low points. And maybe sometimes you don't even fully understand why it's happening, but you just are going through it.
right,
Like that's normal. That's okay.
right.
We just
Sorry.
needed Megan Fox to tell us that.
I know. I really needed to hear that. That moment. I know, and it was like, I don't know. It just is so nice, and it was nice to hear her say like that she's sensitive, because I feel like I've been called sensitive my whole life in such a negative way. And I feel like
Mhm.
she did a really good job of like talking about like, always feeling, whatever, sensitive her whole life and everything. And it just made me feel better. It's like I'm just sick of people using that as like a insult or like an excuse to like treat people who are sensitive a certain way. And I just like that she was like talking about it and it was like open about it. Like sometimes, when like somebody's talk about stuff, you're like, oh, shut up. Like that's not
Mhm.
helping anyone. But I'm like, wait, that did help.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about her book and I
Yeah.
really felt that her book was it could be relatable to a lot of people, and even though some of the things that she talked about in those poems I hadn't experienced, it was still so beautiful to hear what she thought about it and hear her words. And I just like how she's very thoughtful and purposeful with her words. And I feel that doing this interview was a very purposeful thing for her to do because she doesn't typically do interviews like this. So she came with a good message.
Yeah, I liked that too. I also liked when she was talking about her book, she's like, I'm coming, like, so many of these celebrity memoirs don't, when I've heard them talk about the book, they don't talk about, well, this is just from my perspective.
Yes.
I wasn't perfect either. And what else? She said something about like this was also coming from a place of anger
Mhm.
too, and are like releasing those like angered feelings. And I just thought that was really nice too, for her to be like, no, I had parts in these situations as well.
Yeah. You're right because we've said that about some of the books that we've reviewed on here where we're like, okay, well, I don't think this is like, a reliable narrator
Right,
or this is just from one perspective. And Megan was very open about that and saying this isn't coming from a holistic point of view. This is just my side. And you don't
right.
hear many of our celebrity authors who have that kind of self-awareness.
No, or like taking any accountability for their own
Mhm.
actions and most times. But anywho,
Anyway, we won't go down that road.
Selma Blair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was really good. There was definitely a couple things she said that were a little bit, just a little alarming. Not a lot, just a couple of things, but
Yeah.
um overall I thought it was really nice, and I think it was kind of fun, or not fun, but it was nice too to hear like she doesn't have it all figured out.
Mhm.
It's like, and then she's like a mom too, and she still has like stuff she works on within herself and everything. And it just, I don't know, it's just really refreshing, I feel like.
No, I agree. I was about to say that too. Like, she's not just a, 30 something who's going through life. She has had ins and outs of her career. She's had 3 children. She's been divorced. I
Hmm.
mean, she's gone through a lot, and it's nice that she's saying that, hey, I'm still working on myself.
Right.
Like,
I know. It
that's
was like, I know it's so nice to hear, I guess.
yeah. Um, I also thought I saw there was a news report out saying that she and MGK are apparently living separately. And I don't know where that necessarily came from, if it was drawn from some of her
Occurrences. Yeah.
comments or if it was something else. But I felt like when she said, I'm not going to comment on the status of our relationship right now. And I've realized that our relationship isn't for public consumption. I mean, I can see if they are together, I can see why she would say that still.
Right.
I mean, they did go through kind of a lot in the media, and there were a lot of comments being had about their relationship, and from her perspective, she sees it and feels it on such a deeper level that
Mhm.
I don't think that the general public can understand where
Right.
they're coming from with their connection.
Right. I know. I think that would be such a hard situation to be in the public eye and just have everybody reading into every little thing you do. And now we have all those like Dumois or whatever
Yes.
that are like posting all these like private things. And it's like maybe some of it's real, some of it isn't. And it's just like, that'd be just so hard if you're having like an issue with your partner and then all of a sudden it's blasted online with like thousands of comments. It's like, that would
Right.
be horrible.
I know. And they definitely were kind of a controversial couple. But I
Hmm.
liked how she brought up I mean, I won't get graphic on the pod, but when she brought up the ritual, quote
Right.
unquote, that they did. I mean, I thought that her counter to that was actually like very valid.
I know. I thought so too. And it's like, that's why sometimes that's what's so hard about the media is because we see like one thing. We don't ever see like the mind of the person. And
Yeah,
it's like, obviously, on surface level, some of that stuff was a little strange or like whatever. But
sure.
um yeah, when you actually hear it from the person's mind and like what their thoughts were, it's like, oh,
Well,
fine.
and didn't we do that like
I know.
blood
I
brothers?
was thinking that. I was thinking that. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure me and Ailish, because we read the, wasn't it like
Indian in the
1 o'clock?
cupboard.
Yeah, in the cover, and we're like, wait a minute, why are we doing this? Blood sisters.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we're basically
the same
MGK and
thing.
Megan.
So I know we're over here like, ew, why would someone do that? We literally already did it. We're like, oh, uh.
I had forgotten about that until
I
she
know,
brought it up.
I know. Isn't that funny?
I know.
But
But I mean, okay, I don't know. I mean, would I do that with a partner in my living room? I mean,
right,
no. But also, if you were on like one of their ayahuasca retreats or
right.
something,
Or you're like
and
in
you
the
just,
moment of it. Yeah.
yeah, and you just like pricked a finger, it's not like they drank a cup of each other's blood,
Right.
you know? I mean,
Or just
so
taking an IV bag down the
yeah,
chute, you know? It's
yeah,
like,
like,
but yeah, so I mean, yeah, I thought her explaining some of that stuff was really interesting.
yeah, I did too. And I feel like there was another point. Oh, I wanted to bring up too about what she said about her plastic surgery. I
Yeah. I think
appreciated her. The Kylie
I
thing?
have a snap about when she's like, "Kylie's been so transparent about," and she gets ripped to shreds, and I'm like, "Oh, wait, Kylie Jenner?" We're
Yeah, or
talking
is there a
about
different Kylie,
Kylie,
or
but she has been ripped to shreds for not being honest, but I was thinking too, like, just to take a step back now, um, there really is no winning with that. It's like,
there's not.
there just isn't. If you're transparent about it, you're,
You're
just as bad as
superficial.
not. Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you like, and I like too that she was talking about like, no, everybody was getting the subtle work done.
Yes.
And it's like, so, but the thing, what, like, I do think that the frustration people have now is from, okay, well, when I was growing up, you were saying, which again, you couldn't have won if you were saying that you were giving it up, but you made me feel bad because you were acting like this was you all natural and we were like
Yeah.
led to believe it. So it is such a double edged sword, but I do think we're at like a place now where there can be a little bit more transparency. And also now I can be like, oh, yeah, she totally got something done and it not really affect me because I know it now. But like
Yeah.
back for impressionable teenagers, when they aren't telling us that they're getting stuff done, it can be hard. But I do like that she talked about her stuff. But this is kind of the first time she's ever talked about it, as far
I
as I know.
know. Yeah. I have to say I was a little concerned when she was talking about the BBL.
I know.
I was like, please, for the love of God, Megan,
Don't
don't
do.
do it.
No, see, but so there were, yeah, there's definitely a couple things she said that I was like, I don't know, but I couldn't tell because she seems to have like a really interesting sense of humor, so I couldn't
Yeah.
tell if she was kind of like saying it as a joke, but we've never really got to hear her really like joke around like that, so it's
Hmm.
kind of hard to tell. But yeah, I was definitely like, oh, she's like, I want people's heads to turn when they see it. But
Which I, from like a joking point of view, and when she was saying how she doesn't like going and getting any type of surgery really, or going under the anesthesia, I
right,
can see where you're like, okay, if
like
I'm
go
gonna
big or
do
go home.
this,
Yeah.
yeah. But I also liked how she made it clear anytime you're getting a surgery done and you're going under, like, that is a risk on your life, because it truly is. I mean, we
I
kind of
know.
normalize it a little bit.
Yeah, it's like,
It really is.
right, like no big deal. Go get, implants and stuff. And then you hear about the
Hmm.
implant poisoning or like
Yeah.
going in and these doctors kind of like doing what they want and not what you want. And it's like, I
Hmm.
was glad too that she talked about it. Like, it's not just something you just go in la di da and it's fine. Like, it really, and especially with those elective surgeries,
Yeah.
it's like you
Well,
don't
because
technically have to.
yeah, and even just getting the anesthesia, I mean, people can
Mhm.
have weird effects from that. And I mean, think about it. Like, we're given a drug that puts us to sleep, and then magically it wears off and we wake back up.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of crazy. And while we're under, doctors are going to be cutting in to our body. Like, that is a wild concept, and you should be more thoughtful about what, if you're doing that for just a cosmetic elective
Right.
reason, versus if you actually need the surgery for your health.
Right.
But I think we just kind of, obviously not us because we don't have the money for that kind of stuff, but people just get so wrapped up in that, and it
No.
really is a big deal.
I know, or influencers kind of make it look like no big deal and they just go
Yeah.
in and do it and we don't see like the extreme recovery or anything. And
Mhm.
so it is nice when people are like, no, I take this really seriously. This is what I got done. This is why I got it done. And, that was nice to hear because
Yeah.
a
I
lot.
I wish that she would have elaborated on a little bit more with the surgery and stuff was just the fillers, the Botox, the laser stuff. Like I wish that she would have talked a little bit more about that because I mean Megan Fox is so beautiful and perfect, but she's had 3 kids and her body
Right.
looks unbelievable.
I
Like,
know.
you know
And
what
we've
I
been
mean?
able right, and we've been able to see the change, like, even
Mhm.
in her face and stuff, and obviously she's gotten older, but it's like she didn't say anything about her lips, which she's really
Yeah.
had done, like, she didn't talk about her face at all other than she wasn't ready to get, like, a full facelift or whatever, but
Yeah, she was just general, like, "I've gotten Botox and filler."
right,
But okay, tell me exactly where and how many
right.
units.
Literally. And like,
Because I
when
need
did
to
you
take
start?
notes.
I know, we're like, "When did you start? How often do you do the maintenance and stuff?" So,
Yeah.
I know, but it's
I
interesting.
enjoyed the interview. I because I haven't been listening to Call Her Daddy for quite some
Mhm.
time. This is my first one back, and some of the ways Alex Cooper was acting made me realize why I stopped listening for a while.
I think, like I don't I think with the Call Her Daddy stuff, it's kinda like I feel like when you have somebody on, like a Megan Fox, I think you are kind of expecting this, like, sexual interview and stuff. Like, it always reminds me back of the Miley Cyrus one where she was, like, trying to have this whole, like, fun sexual conversation with her, and then Miley's like, "No, I'm like a businesswoman." And it's like but it is hard when you have, like, this like, when these some of these celebrities have these, like, personas that they put on, and then when you actually sit them down and you're like, "Oh, that's not just who you are."
Yeah.
I feel like that could be a really hard thing, like, especially if it's not like a reality star, like, when you see them on a reality show, you get to know a little bit more about their lives. So I don't know if I could see where Alex maybe was like not sure what to really expect with this
Yeah.
conversation. So I don't know.
I just the thing that kind of annoys me is about her sometimes is how she'll be just kind of over animated. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you're laughing really hard. Like, can
Mhm.
we tone it down a little bit? Like
I know.
there were
I
a
do.
couple points where she was like losing it.
I know, and I don't know if she was just like I can't. I feel like Megan Fox would be one of those people where I'd be like, I don't know how to act. I don't know if it's a joke.
Same.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll give her like a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, it definitely was. I feel like she was like super nervous.
And I mean, I agree with you there. If I was interviewing Megan Fox,
I
like if
know. I
she
think
was on our pod,
I'd be
I don't
like,
know
I
how I
could,
would.
I
I
don't even
probably,
think I could do it. Like
I
I
know,
think I
I
would just
probably wouldn't even be able to ask a question.
no. It's like nope. And she's so the way not to like keep going on about Megan Fox, how beautiful we're just as bad as like a man right now. But she really is so striking.
I
And
know
I don't want to say she's like scary, but she's intimidating.
she is
I
for
don't think
sure.
I could just like sit across from her like that and talk to her. Like it would just be really hard. She's
I
so pretty.
agree. It would be. She's always just been stunning.
I know. And it's like those like icy eyes. And I know she has pink hair
Mhm.
right now, but the dark hair and the
Yeah,
pale skin, like, it is so intimidating and just,
I
like,
know.
her aura.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, we're sounding like freaking
I know.
Megan
We're
Fox.
discounting
Like,
all her smarts.
yeah. But I mean, it it is like also once you talking to her, it makes it even more intimidating because you're
I
like,
know because she comes at you
wow,
with I know, like, she's coming at you with, like, deep
such
like
yes.
and she knows herself so well, and I think that's
Mhm.
also insanely intimidating, like, I don't know if I've ever come across somebody that knows themselves like that and can be fully honest about who they are and
I
like
know. I know. I think that same way. And when she said too about like, oh, how are when Alex said like, how would you go up to a guy at a bar or something?
yeah.
And Megan's like, no, I mean, I am not a great flirt. Like because I
Right. It's like I
ask
don't
men
have time
questions that
for it.
they don't,
Yeah.
yeah, that they don't expect or that they don't really want to answer. Like
Mhm.
that is, she just is so thoughtful and purposeful with the things that she asks. And
Right.
it takes a little bit.
For sure.
But anyway, we don't need to keep going on about how much we love Megan Fox.
No, it was good. I'm just gonna say one last. I did like too that when she was talking about almost being growing up as like an only child or whatever, and it was just, we have an episode about that. So
Yeah, we do. If anyone wants to go back and listen to Only
I know,
Thomas.
I know.
The
And she
only
was
thing,
just so like when she was. Oh, I was just gonna say, just when she was like talking about it and stuff, it was like, gosh, I never really analyzed being an only child like that, even though she isn't technically, but
yeah. But with the age gap, it can definitely feel that way. I didn't
yes.
love, just because I think I was feeling a little defensive when Alex Cooper brought that quick question up, and she's like, I've always felt bad for people who were only
I
children.
know.
I'm like, please don't feel bad for me. Like I don't want somebody's sympathy like
Right.
that. I mean, and are also, I think, a lot of pros to being an only child, and it makes you be more independent than other people who have
Mhm.
siblings. Like I just didn't like that, and I liked that Meg, she said like, yes, it can be lonely at times, because it certainly can, and we talked about that too, but she
Right.
didn't really play that of like, oh yeah, feel bad, or I feel bad for people too.
Right. It was more like this is why sometimes only children are the way they are. And it's like,
Mhm.
thank you. I felt heard.
Yes, same.
um, but anyway, we don't have to talk about that anymore.
We already talked about it for like 20
Enough.
minutes.
It was a good interview. I recommend listening to it.
I would
Um,
too. It was great.
have you seen have you seen the stuff about like Riley Strain, who's like missing in Nashville?
Well, I knew that you were reading up on it because I saw it on our TikTok. I
Yeah.
haven't read, I haven't watched a lot of those, but please read.
Well, I was just going to bring up, well, because there's so much video footage of him like walking around and coming like across people and stuff. And what I wanted to bring up was I remembered the time that we like helped somebody. Do you remember that?
No?
There was like in that college town that's near us. We were there and we were like walking back, and a guy like was like, I think he asked us for like directions or something. And he said he was from out of town and he didn't really. Do you remember this?
Oh, it is coming back to me
Yeah, and he
now.
like he's like, I'm from out of town and I just like can't find the people that I'm with. And he went, I don't think he was like like I can't really remember it that well, but I don't think he was like stumbling around.
No, I don't think he
But
was
he
so like,
didn't
yeah.
know. But he had definitely been like drinking and didn't know where he was. And we were like, we'll just walk you to your, because I think it was like at like a Taco Bell or something. It was like some fast
Yeah,
food
somewhere
restaurant where
we
they
knew
were.
where we were going to.
Yeah. And we like walked him back to his friends. And I remember it was like weird at the end. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but we like actually did help somebody like get back to where they needed to go.
Which also, thinking about it, like the fact that we were just walking by ourselves.
I know that's the thing. Like we almost put our own necks like out on the
Oh, we
line.
did. We
And so
did.
when I know, and then there's like these people keep bringing up about like Riley Strain. It's like he came across all these people. Why didn't anyone help him and stuff? And it's
Yeah.
like it is hard to help somebody, and I don't necessarily know if Riley Strain looked like intimidating, but he was clearly like stumbling around. It's hard to just like help a stranger, especially if you're a woman,
Mhm.
and to help a man, it's like it really is scary. Like you could get hurt
Yeah.
yourself, and like obviously in hindsight when you're like seeing all this stuff, you're like, "Oh no, I walked past that guy and I didn't do anything." It's like I don't know. It's you just don't know.
No, you don't. I forgot. Now that you say that, I do remember. And I think it was at Taco Bell that we brought
Yeah,
him.
it was
And it
something.
was kind of weird at the end and like
Can't really
awkward, kind of.
yeah. But he was like I feel like he tried to play it off like he wasn't scared, but I remember he was kinda like crying, like he would did not know where he was. And then I remember
Well,
we got
and
like I was just gonna say
you
we
can
got
go.
like sorry, there's a lag. I was
The
gonna say we got like
audio.
turned around at one point, and he was like, "Wait, you guys are gonna like rob me or something, right?" And we're like, "No," but
Yes.
it was like he was nervous. I mean, he didn't know
Yeah.
us, we didn't know him, and we're like trying to walk him to this place.
Yeah, because I think we went the wrong direction second,
Yeah,
and then we're like, oh wait, no, we need to go this way.
sorry, you like lagged a second.
Anyway, yeah, I did, there's it keeps going in and out, and it's annoying me,
I know.
and I don't know why because I'm not moving anywhere.
No, but
Anyway, but and I think that we also in that time just like just typical young person, oh, I'm invincible, and we
yeah.
thought, okay, the two of us together, it's fine. But
Mhm.
I would not want a young person that I know to do that today, to walk
I know,
out
especially
anywhere by themselves.
right, especially when you just there's so much stuff you hear about, and it's literally them like maybe drinking alcohol and sometimes not, where they're just like alone and sitting. Yeah, because we used to go like perusing by ourselves. We're like, all right,
Yes.
see you guys later.
Yeah.
Just like go off
Go
and
from
then get
one house to another house.
yeah.
Like,
It was like totally no big deal for some reason, and we're lucky nothing happened. But I mean, it kind of freaks me out to even think about it now. Like, gosh, something could happen. We could be one of these stories.
oh. I
Scary.
mean, there were times too when I did like internships in New York, and I'd be like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just going to go home. And I would just like
Right.
walk home by myself. Like, why did
Mhm.
I think that was okay?
Right. I know.
Actually,
It's
nothing ever
wild.
happened, thank God. But it's just, yeah, it's scary. I don't know, you feel invincible. You feel like that's not going to happen to me. But I'm sure that's what everybody thinks
I
who
know.
becomes a news
I
story.
know. I know, and then people were saying, like, why didn't I don't know a ton about like the friend situation, but they're like, why didn't the friends go with him and blah blah blah. And it's like, how many times did our friends let us just go? And I don't even know
Right.
if we would have listened if we were like,
That's
no,
what I
you
was going to
can't. I'm like,
say.
excuse me, I'm going.
Mhm. Or we're like, "Hey, we're out, guys. Oh, I'll come with you." No, we're fine. It's the two of us. You
Right, we're
know?
good. We're just going over there.
I will
I
say
know.
we never left each other though.
No, we always had that.
So we were kind of smart in that respect.
Yes, we were never alone,
Yeah.
technically. But yeah, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to like bring that up.
It is crazy cuz when did he go missing? This last weekend?
I believe it was no, I think it was March 8th or 9th or
Oh,
something, and
so
he's
it's
still
been
missing.
longer.
Hmm But yeah, they've got him on so much security cameras and everything. So hopefully, I know they're checking like the river and stuff, but and they found his credit card. But and then the last I heard was that his phone was turned off with battery still, or like went dead, or not dead, but like off or something with battery's life still in it. So
That's suspicious.
it is. So yeah. Anyway.
It is crazy not to go down a morbid path. Here's like a full on trigger warning for anybody. Just skip ahead
Okay.
a little bit if you don't like violent crime. But I remember,
Mhm.
I think it was maybe a year and a half ago ish. And there was this guy, and I think there were like drugs involved in this, but he was with friends, and this was out in San Francisco. And I was interested in this story because I knew where it had happened. And
Mhm.
like one of his friends or like associates, like came up, stabbed him, and then he's
Mhm.
on like the CCTV camera trying to a building, like trying to open the doors, and they see him like the. But then it took a little while to figure out exactly what happened and who did it. So
Mhm.
sometimes just because things are all documented or partially, it doesn't mean it's such a easy case to solve.
I know. I know, especially if it's just the person. It's like, well, we have nothing. We
Mhm.
just have a time when it happened.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it is. It's crazy. And I mean, did he get in a car with somebody and now he's like 6 states away? Is he in the
Right.
river and like to the ocean by now?
Yeah.
It's like you just
Don't know.
scary, man.
It really is.
But
To pivot off of that, did you see that they are making it's not really like a sequel, a continuation of Beetlejuice?
I did hear about that.
How do you feel?
I'm not surprised because that's kind of like the nostalgia trend that
Yeah,
we
it's the
have been
thing.
doing for the past like 5 years.
I mean, calling it like Beetlejuice, because Tim Burton was like, it's been so long, it didn't feel right to say Beetlejuice 2, but I don't know. I just has Tega, which she's fine, but okay, we're clearly typecasting her. Like,
Right.
poor thing is never gonna be able to do anything like not kind of.
Normal.
I don't know. Yeah, I loved the original Beetlejuice so much that I just feel so conflicted about this.
I know because it's like, it's not going to be able to, I mean, it's so rare that there's like a good sequel. Like some of them are okay, but it's especially like when it's been so long. Because
Yeah.
like with like animated movies, when it'd be like, oh, the next year, the next one comes out, like you still kind of have that hype and like it hasn't been that much time. But when, like if they, I don't even know, if they came out with like, I don't even know, Shrek 7 now, it'd be like,
Yeah.
what's the
What?
point? Yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know either.
right? It's just like the thing they always do.
I
But it
think
kind of
I'll
or it'll feel kind of like a money grab too, where it's like,
mhm.
let's get all the kids that grew up with it. Now they're adults. Now let's get them to
Let's
the
bring in
theater
Jenna
and things.
Ortega because then she'll
Right.
younger ones.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it comes out in September. I don't think I'm gonna go to theaters to watch that one unless we use our pass
We
that we
still need
still
to
haven't
do.
used.
We're coming up on it. Well, not quite a year, but over 6
Almost.
months. Yeah.
Good thing they didn't put an expiration date on it.
Mhm.
But I think I'll probably wait for that to come out on streaming just because it doesn't excite me that much, but I am kind of curious.
I know, especially because 'cause it'll be around that, like, spooky time too, so it might
Yeah.
be, like, fun to watch it.
And with Michael Keaton, Catherine O'Hara, and what's her name coming back? Oh my God, why am I blanking on her
Gina
name?
Davis? Gina Davis?
No,
Winona Ryder?
no. Yes, Winona Rush. With them coming back, that intrigues me more.
If they feel good about coming back to it, then maybe it's gonna be worth something.
Yeah, that makes me feel a bit better about it, but I'm still nervous.
I know. Um, they're doing just to, like, add to that, they're making another Scream 7,
Oh
and
yeah.
then Neve Campbell's coming back,
Mhm.
but I can't remember her name. Samantha, I think it's Samantha. Can't remember. But did you see where she got, like, fired from Scream because she took I can't remember if she took a in or if she was pro-Palestine or pro-Israel. I'm assuming
Oh,
pro-Palestine, so she got fired from the
yeah.
franchise.
I
So,
did see that.
mhm. So we
Uh,
got another sequel coming in.
I just I don't know if we need more screams. I just feel like once you get past, I mean, I think unless it's like a Harry Potter or a Lord of the Rings, there was a book series. Like
Right.
I don't need 5 or more films. No.
I know.
Even I think 3 is enough, honestly.
I know, like, wrap it up and then 15 years later, do a whole new situation.
Yes, that's fine, but like,
I know, I know,
oh my
and that's what's
god.
hard too sometimes is there are some good remakes. So then you're
Yeah.
like, "Well, I wanna give this one the benefit of the doubt because we do get some, like, good ones here and there."
Yeah,
It's just not always.
I know. It's just it's like when they kept doing all the Halloweens too. I'm like, "My lord, like how many of
I know.
these are we gonna
Those are literally,
do?"
like, 20. I know.
Yes,
You're like,
it's just
the
absurd.
last I know, it's like the last 7 are straight to DVD.
Yeah. Which at that point it's just sad, I think.
I know, it's like, "Why are we doing this, like, low budget nonsense?"
Yeah,
But
there's no need.
whatever. Um,
Well, do you want to take a little break?
sure.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so you've heard us talk about dough, good for you cookie dough before, and how they make the most amazing cookies. But now that the weather is starting to warm up a little bit, we're moving into spring, I don't really want to cook with my oven as much. I don't want it to get super hot in my apartment. So Hannah and I are switching over to the donut holes, and they just came out with their red velvet donut holes right now. But the best thing about these guys is that they are not made with any red food coloring. We don't like the dyes. We know that's not good for us. They're in the perfect little bite-sized pieces with that delicious frosting over the top, and they're still vegan and gluten-free, and it's made with less sugar, and they're just unbelievable. It's the perfect snack. You can put them in your lunchbox when you're going to work. You can have them when you're watching your favorite Bravo show. They are just so delicious. And how can we forget about the tried and true cookie doughs? I'm just going to eat it straight from the tub, straight from the fridge or the freezer. These are good for you. They have those added vitamins in there to help you stay focused and have more energy. So it really is a healthier option for that same delicious cookie dough treat. So if you're looking to try this delicious snack from dough, that's DEUX, it's really fancy, you can use our code WATERBOTTLE and you'll get a nice little discount of 10%, which is amazing. If you spend over $35, then you can also use free shipping to get free shipping on your order. So again, use our code WATERBOTTLE and you will enjoy an amazing 10% off from dough. That's eatdough, DEUX.com.
Okay, we're back.
We are back. I just wanted to say I watched the Eras tour movie.
Oh, you did? Well, you
did.
experienced it firsthand, Hannah. So how did the movie compare?
Okay. I know, like, if you're gonna have like this concert on, like a movie or whatever, you want to be like up close and seeing her face and like the stuff that people who sat far away just didn't get to see. But like I had seats that were a little further back, and the light show that you got from this concert was just insane. So beautiful, seeing everybody's wristbands and everything. But in the movie, you don't get that. And I'm like, and I know, again, you're watching the movie, you want to see her and like everything in front. But man, oh man, the light show was beautiful. And that was not captured in the movie. But it was so fun.
Thank goodness you did see it in person.
I know, I wouldn't have known.
You would have missed out.
Right. But other than that, I mean, I thought it was really cool. I don't think I've ever watched a concert movie before. Have you?
I've seen, like, I know my dad had like a DVD of Franenstein in concert, so I've seen that before. But does hers have like extra behind the scenes stuff, or is it literally just? Oh,
it was just the concert, and then at the end is like a couple extra acoustic songs.
I mean, I think that hers is definitely to a different level than Bruce Springsteen's that was filmed in, I don't know, early 2000s or whatever. And hers is definitely more of a production. So seeing hers would probably be a completely different experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was still good. It just it just reminded me how much, I mean, like, I was thinking too, I'm like, how can she, I don't know if she'll ever go on tour again at this point, but I don't know how you could outdo that. Like, once you've done that, like, where do you go from there?
It is kind of crazy that how something like Eras or the best of or whatever, that is something that people typically do toward the end of their careers. But she is not there yet. So that's a good question. I mean, how she's coming out with another album, and how are you going to tour for that and make it more special or different than this epic worldwide experience?
Right, like, is she just gonna do like shows here and there? Like, I just don't know how she would do that. I was also wondering too, it must, like, and I think this for any artist, like, it must be so hard to like repeat your songs all the time.
Yeah, well, I kind of wonder that now that we're talking about it, with now that she's gonna do a new album and everything, if she tours, will she only do stuff off the new album and then just keep going and like kind of make new eras and not go back to old ones? Or maybe just do that like how she would do the surprise song and stuff and just kind of trickle that in and not play like the greatest hits all the time? Like, I don't know. Like,
I know, I don't know either.
An interesting way forward.
I know. But I think the tour's over. in the summer.
now.
So yeah, and then the album doesn't come out till April. So I don't know. But yeah, I just think it would be so hard to like play the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, what was the song that Nicki Minaj said, like, I'm tired of
Oh yeah,
ships,
was it
I
like
think.
super bass or whatever?
I can't
Wasn't it
remember
that
if it was
one?
that one or Starships.
Oh, maybe it was that one. Yeah, and she's like, I don't like it.
She's
Or
like,
even
I'm done.
didn't Fall Out Boy say something about that too? Like, I don't remember what they said, but maybe I like watched an interview and they're like, I just really don't want to play that song again.
Yeah, I mean, I know artists have transparent about that and be like, yeah, I'm over this song. I don't
Yeah.
enjoy playing it
It's
anymore.
yeah, because didn't Paramore? I could be totally making this up, but didn't Paramore like retire Misery Business or
Yes, I
something?
think
They're
they
like
did. Yeah.
singing that song ever again.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
it's I it is hard when you are an artist or a band and you guys like they write their own song
Right.
and sometimes your songs are very emotionally charged or just about a certain person or point in your life and it can be hard to go back and play those all the
I
time.
know. Or like she doesn't do a ton from or I think she only did a couple surprise songs from like her debut album. And I mean she's
Mhm.
gotta be so cringed out by
Yes,
stuff
I
like
know.
or not even just her, but these other people like I don't know. It just would be like it just makes me think of like going through your old like middle school journal and having to like read it to people. Like that would just be like
Oh,
couldn't do it. It's so cringy. Even sometimes when I think about stuff I did when I was like younger, I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I just
What
can't
is
even.
wrong with me?
Right?
I can't even think about it.
Literally, I'm like, gosh, gross. You're so
I
cringy.
know.
But
And then
anyway,
imagine if those things were like number one hits for other people.
literally, and you have to do it. Ooh.
So awful.
But
Well, let's get into Vanderpump
all right.
so we can move through this in our second half. Um,
Boring.
well,
Actually, I thought the episode was kind of boring. I'm still waiting for this big second half that we're supposed to be getting.
it it felt like a random episode.
I know.
Like a lot of the things that were happening were just random. Like we see Sandoval getting ready to have a pool party, and that was kind of disjointed because then Katie and Lala were having dinner, and it was just all go out to a bar together. Like it was just what is going on? Like nothing felt like it went together.
Yeah, it was like one of those what do they call them? Frankenstein episodes or whatever.
Yeah, clipped together. But Sandoval has his little pool party that Katie called the sexy singles party. And it was, I'm sure that some of this stuff was edited, but it was really, really awkward to see Tom Sandoval talking to some of these girls just
I
because
know.
he was so cringy.
I know. I was kind of thinking about that too. It just kind of reminded me of like Jersey Shore and stuff. Like, remember when they would like bring back these girls and they probably like signed off to be on camera, and then it's like so embarrassing if they're like talk. I mean, they didn't do this in Vanderpump this time, but it's like so embarrassing if they're like talking bad about you or saying you're
Yeah.
weird. And it's like maybe he even did, and we just didn't see it. Like, ugh, it's just so
Yeah,
awkward.
it was cringe. And when those two girls are in the pool and he's like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know my story, like with my roommate, I live with my ex-girlfriend, just a 10-year relationship, no big deal, and I keep her locked in a room and I put crackers under the door. Like that
Yeah,
was one of those situations where you start going with something and you think you're being funny, but no one's laughing. So you going and you're like, oh, okay, the more extreme I get, it's gonna get a laugh, but it never
I
gets a
know.
laugh.
And I feel like he was trying to play it off like, oh, like I just haven't dated anybody. I just haven't been
Yeah.
single ever. I'm like, first of all, you were cheating on Ariana multiple times. Don't act like
Right.
you have this hard time getting women on the side or like
Right.
I was just plus you're like, I mean, maybe right now it would have been like at that period of time, like people were very hating on him, especially in public and stuff. So it's like I believe that maybe it would have been a little bit harder to get a woman. It's just so like I don't feel bad for you. I know you know how to
No.
get women and bed women. Like
Yeah, like let's play pretend. I
yeah.
did think that I liked, not that I'm, giving Schwartz like a major gold star here, and they brought it up in the after show too, but I did appreciate that he was like, hey man, like, I think this is kind of weird. You've got all these girls here. Ariana lives here too. Like, this just
Right.
feels like something I don't really want to be a part of. And whether he said that and left because it was to save face or because he really felt that way, I'm glad that it was said on camera
Yeah,
because,
because I mean, he said what we were all thinking. It's really weird.
right.
And it just like the lack of just reality that Tom had or Sandoval has. It's like, no, no, this is weird, dude. What are
Yeah,
we
like,
doing?
how do you not see, like, oh, I invited these girls. Okay, like, I hope
Weird.
Ariana's not upstairs.
Right. Not that that bothers him anyway, because
Yeah,
that's
he
ridiculous.
doesn't care.
But anywho,
And then on the after show, did you watch that? Well,
no.
they said, just Tom was, Ariana has had people over, and it was like, how he just keeps going, trying to justify his actions. He's
Mhm.
like, it's been like, you know, 5 nights in a row. I mean, on like a Tuesday night until like 4,
Oh,
and
because
then a
you work a 9 to 5,
Wednesday,
Tom?
and I had to work in the morning. That's literally
Mm,
what he said. And then he's like, finally,
okay.
like people going up and down the stairs. Like I finally went down there after like the 5th night, and I just sat in the kitchen and I said,
Ugh.
hey, I bought that TV. I'll unplug it. Enough is enough. And Tom Schwartz was just there like he's digging himself a hole here. And I just don't
Mm.
even believe it.
No. Whatever, Tom.
Like,
Old
I'll let
man.
you live in your own irrational reality, but I don't know if, like, you're not a reliable narrator either.
No.
So then, as that was also happening, Katie and Lala meet for dinner, and this was after they kind of had their blowout fight at the astrology party. And I didn't like how in the confessional, Lala said, I'm trying to like be softer and work on myself. And Katie's just happy being on her war path.
I know. I saw that. I'm like, okay, well, from seasons like 4 to 10, you've been on your warpath there, Lala. So,
Right. And I don't even think that that is what Katie is
what?
doing. I
No.
think she's being strong in her convictions. And sometimes I do think that she can come off a little bit harsh, but she's standing up for herself and for her friends. And she hasn't always stood up for herself and put herself first in the past. And I don't think that is her being on her war path.
No.
So
Not at all.
Lala's just being annoying. And then they both admit that they were wrong and yada yada. And I think Katie even, she kind of cut it short, and Lala was trying to talk about more stuff. And she's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, Let's
Right.
just hug it out and get over it. Like, I don't want to keep dwelling on this. And then, based on Watch What Happens Live, apparently some stuff goes down in the reunion, and I
I
don't
believe
think
it.
that Katie and Lala are in a place.
Right. Well, I'm sure, obviously they've seen the episodes since, so they're probably not, yeah, happy with some of the stuff
There's a
together.
lot of stuff that's being said in the confessionals and also in the show that I can see how there's going to be stronger divisions.
Oh, yeah.
So, we go back to Tom after the party, Tom and Ariana's house, and the house is a complete mess, and he makes Anne clean it up. And then they even show him like in the gym, and he's like, "Yeah, Anne like keeps things tidy. Like she's your assistant, not your maid. Like what is going on? That is just he just
Child.
keeps showing how he is so immature and not aware. It's just
I know, and then to have that like on camera, like, okay, so who cleaned up before you guys broke up? Was Ariana
yeah,
the one cleaning up? Like,
clearly.
oh,
Now you know why she didn't want in that first was that in the first episode or second where she was so against his
yeah, like I
birthday
don't want him
party?
having parties. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah, now
no,
you see why.
doesn't do that.
Then Sheena comes over and they talk about Dancing with the Stars stuff, and Sheena was also on Juicy Scoop, and she gave a little bit
Yeah.
more insight, saying how apparently it had been in the works with her for a while with a producer, and then she gave some kind of conflicting information because on Juicy Scoop she said that she found out Ariana be on Dancing with the Stars from that producer friend that she had.
Hmm.
But then on the show and the after show, she said that she kind of found out, with the masses and that she wasn't told about it.
I know. It almost seems like she knew about it before Ariana knew about it.
I know, I know. It did
Oh,
seem
what's with it?
it seemed like that from what she told Heather McDonald.
Yeah, I know. I forgot that wasn't like we didn't get anything good in that interview anyway. But yeah, that was interesting.
And then in the after show, they Sandoval actually says that he also has been wanting to be on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, of course.
And he
I
also,
think
Hannah,
most
took dance lessons.
C-listers, right? Like I think most C-listers have been wanting to be on Dancing with the Stars, and it's like I don't know. That's the name of the game. I don't know.
They didn't ask you.
Right, and it's like, I'm sorry, Sheena, that they maybe implied that you were supposed to get it. Like, I do feel bad and then gave it to one of your cast members, but
Yeah, that
I don't know.
happens.
I know. It
And
makes
I mean,
sense.
yeah, I mean, I get that that is upsetting, but you also can't blame them when Ariana had the biggest story of the summer happen with Sandoval. Of course, ask her to be on it. I mean, she's
Right.
the hottest thing of the time, and they, like that makes sense.
Yep.
And then I need to stop saying and then. Every time I edit, I get so annoyed with myself. um what else even happened? Everyone goes out together. Oh, there was a random little part. I don't even remember when this was, but Schwartz said that he could probably marry Joe and be happy, but he's just not ready for that right now. I was like, oh my God, please. I can't deal with
I
both
know,
of
but
your energies.
honestly, right, it would probably work out. Like,
I,
like it makes a lot of sense. Maybe you should do that. You guys
maybe
can
he
live
will
the nomad life together.
and just be like cringy millennials together with all your jokes and
I know.
facial expressions.
I know. I did get on her Instagram and kind of like scrolled through it. There wasn't really. It
much.
it really just looked like our old Instagrams. Like there really wasn't like it just felt like a 2014 Instagram, but they were like I think I only went there wasn't even a ton of posts, but I think the furthest I was back was 2019.
Well, I could that tracks for me that she would be kind of living in that time period still,
Yes.
which good for her. I know I was hard on her last episode. There's just something about her energy that I feel repelled by. I just can't. I don't know. It just is a lot for me. And I've seen online too where people are like the what genders make fun of about millennials, and I think maybe
Mhm.
that's triggering because I don't want people to feel that way about
Victimized.
us. Yeah.
Right. How old is she? Do you know?
I would assume she's around the same age as, well, I would think a little younger than Schwartz.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, we're probably older than us, but younger than Schwartz. But anyway.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll even come up. I don't even, she's not like that famous.
Mm-mm.
It just keeps coming up about Tom, how he's 40. So I don't know. I mean, I could probably do more digging and find it, but that's not worth it right now. So everybody goes out together, and then Lala, and I think everyone is shocked that Ariana comes with Katie. And I said it's about time we get everybody under one roof. Like, this is what we need to see. I'm sick of this division. We can be in the same space together and not interact with some people. Like, let's just cut that. Like, we
Hmm.
can do this.
Right.
But nothing like really crazy happens during that, except Sheena tries to have a conversation with Sandoval, and it's just trying to talk rationally to an irrational person, and it's the same thing that we've seen episode after episode, and Tom is being really annoying. Oh, then we have the awkward moment where we're at Tom and Ariana's house, and they're preparing for Ariana's little game night. And Sandoval comes down while Katie is in the kitchen, and he says that he's sorry for how he treated her regarding the divorce and stuff. And I totally, like, I loved how Katie was like, I do know, what you were feeling because I was in that situation. I left a 12-year, relationship and marriage because and when I loved the person because I wasn't happy and I had to do it for myself. And this is what I said last week. Like, this is the kind of stuff I want from Katie this season. Like, let's get into it. Like, now that you had a little bit of time to heal from your divorce, like, I would love to hear her
Hmm.
perspective on that.
Right. And it was nice for her to be like, yeah, I didn't just go hook up with a friend
Yeah.
and just implode everything.
Yeah,
I was
like
mature.
there's a right way to do it. And he's like, "Well, we're not the same people." Well, obviously, but what even is some that comment to make? Like, I'm like, you're saying
It's
you're
like,
the
yeah,
bad
because
person?
right. It's like, well, yeah, you are mature and wouldn't do
Yeah.
that. Okay, but that's not like a point.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not like a point to add.
Like, that's what everybody's saying.
Hmm.
So I just liked that, and how, she's again making the point that he does not understand that his actions speak louder than his words. He says these things. He says, and again in the after show, he says this too. Like, he keeps saying, I know what I did was wrong. I know I hurt people, but he doesn't act in a way that shows any type of remorse, any type of growth or accountability, and it's just getting tiring at this point.
And his words aren't very good either, so.
No, they're not. They're very jumbled and not very genuine. Tom then goes upstairs and Schwartz comes over, and then Tom has a full-on breakdown about
No, he has a full
Rachel.
blown pretend breakdown,
Yeah, it was definitely
in my
very
opinion.
very produced, very put on there. He had to go into the closet and cry, but he pulled out
Look,
those
man, I've been
pictures.
journaling. I've been journaling since
Yeah.
like April.
He just so happened to have that out
I
when
know, when he knew
Schwartz
Schwartz was
walked
coming
in.
over to film.
And he's like, "Oh, look, here are the pictures I brought to New Zealand when I filmed
And
special."
shaking. Here's the pic. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, eat
Look,
some food, stop drinking so much
look
freaking
how we
coffee, and
looked.
take care of yourself. Right.
I also was like, when did you take those photos? Because it obviously was when you were in the affair.
Oh, yeah. Those were those like romantic professional photos they probably got taken.
Secret photos that were taken of your illicit affair. Like, that's just,
And all the traveling you've done together.
yeah, like gross. And then I don't even, Schwartz kind of is just like, oh man, like you gotta kind of get out of this hole. He's a little taken aback by the reaction. And it's just, I don't know. There's nothing that you can even say to Sandoval. Like there's nothing that anybody says is going to make him feel better. Nothing that anybody says is going to make him grow as a person. It's just I don't know what he even wants from people. He just wants sympathy, which
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to get. And then we go over to the game night that Ariana has, and that's when Tom, Schwartz, and Sandoval come down, and it's kind of an awkward goodbye when all of Ariana's friends are there. And then we get the bombshell, which we kind of like knew a little bit about this, but that Sheena had a threesome with John Mayer. And I just loved this tidbit of information. I was like, I wish that Sheena would talk more about that time in her life when she
I know.
was like
Where's
full on.
Sheena's book?
I would love it. We need
I
a
know.
tell all.
I know. She's got those good stories. She's one of those people who's very much like, obviously not Trisha Paytas level, but she definitely
Yeah.
like, this is what she was gonna do. She didn't have, or even if she said she did, like she was never gonna be an actress or like a full blown A-list actress, Oscar winning or like a Grammy winning artist, but she can do this, like she
Yeah.
can be a social media person.
And somehow, I mean, I think she was just kind of right place, right time. She was pretty, she was young and
Hmm.
she got in with a certain crowd, and it was that
Hmm.
prime time in the 2000s. Like,
Where you
God, what I
could, I know,
wouldn't give.
I know. Why'd we have to be like 12?
I know. And living in Ohio.
Right.
So jealous. And we go over then to the last kind of part. I'm kind of breezing through this, but there wasn't like a ton of stuff to really unpack, in my opinion. I think you felt that way too. Where we get to the night out that Schwartz said that Sandoval needs. And he said, hey, man, you need to talk to somebody who can relate. And we know what's coming. And we go to the little night out with Brock and James and Tom, and then who comes in but Jax? And I have to say, I know that this is a maybe popular opinion, but I really loved seeing Jax back on my screen at about 8:30 at night. It just something inside, it just felt right. And I liked it. I don't know. What did you think?
I thought it was like surreal to like see him on the show with like Tom and Tom, because the last time we saw them all together was like a blowout.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really was just kind of crazy. And like part of me was like, couldn't they just be back on Vanderpump?
I know.
I know it was like wild. And he was just like full blown Jax again.
Which I loved. Like
Right.
I'm sorry, but I know Jax is can be a lunatic and he is a very polarized figure. So good for reality TV, and he kind of was the juice that Vanderpump needed right now. Like we were feeling a little in a lull.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, no, it was surreal.
and he just like dug into Sandoval, which I mean, Jax knows what he's doing. He knows how to make an impact coming back on TV for the first time, and then they kind of made up towards the end. And the one thing I thought was funny when I think it was maybe before Jax got there and Schwartz was talking to Brock, and he's like, "Oh," Brock said, "Oh man, I wish that I would have known what it was like back in younger days." And Tom said, Schwartz said, the old days were the best of times and the worst of times, and it just gave me such a flashback to like the early season of Vanderpump and just how absolutely like chaotic it was, and there was always drama and infidelity, and it was just they truly were the best and the worst of times. And I just imagined a little like reel of highlights playing in Schwartz's head.
Hmm.
And then we had the transition to the valley where Jax walks out and he says he's got to get home, and he does a confessional, and then he moves over to the valley's confessional. And it definitely was not as epic of a transition as the original, Beverly Hills to VPR transition, but it was fine, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I don't know how
Like,
else to
what
do
more
it.
could? Yeah,
Right.
I know, I agree. What did you think of the Valley?
I mean, it was for me. I was like, I wasn't expecting a ton with the first episode because we're not really familiar with any of these people. Like, they can't really just like jump in, like the way they could for a new season of a previous show. But I mean, Jax was on his A game, Kristen was on her A game, and I don't know. I mean, I might watch it again, but it wasn't like I wasn't expecting a ton from the first episode.
Same. I mean, I was actually expecting not to like it at all, but I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, little, there were bits in there that were fun, and
And
even though yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and it was nice because it seemed like they had a rapport before starting, and it wasn't like just a bunch of random people just like thrown in. Like you can tell, like Jax and Kristen are sometimes getting along and sometimes not, and
Mm-hmm.
which I did like that aspect, and I liked that it was because we didn't get to see the Vanderpump people. We didn't get to see Stassi on the show. We don't really get to see Lala's child. We don't really get to a ton of Sheena's home life. It was kind of interesting to see like that point of people's life where they have like just little kids and are just
Mm-hmm.
transitioning into like having some kids, and then like also these different types of relationships. And I thought it was just kind of like, I don't know if we've really gotten to fully see something like that before.
Yeah, I liked how we had some of our Vanderpump cast in there too. You
I
know
know.
how
I
Lala
think
and Sheena.
right. I think I'm assuming we're gonna get one more season of Vanderpump. I think after that, I think they should just shove Sheena and Lala onto that
Over.
show.
I
I think
agree.
that'd
I
work
mean,
out
it seemed
fine.
like it would fit in anyway.
Right. And if
Uh,
Sheena's already friends with some of those people anyway.
and Sheena just moved to the valley, so it makes even more sense.
Right. Going from broke in 2020 to having like 6 different properties is interesting, but
Well, Sandoval gave her those few $1,000s, Hannah.
that's what
So
did
I
it.
guess
That's
that's
what
what
did
did it. That's what kept her on her feet.
it.
I thought it was a little sad though, knowing what we know now about Brittany and Jax, and just to hear from at this point in the valley, we haven't seen the break in their marriage yet, and to hear him say like, marriage is tough, and but I love my wife and I'm in a new point in my life now. Just to know that now they aren't together and they are going through some issues, it's a little sad. Is it surprising? No, but it is a little bit sad just because it's just like with BPR this season. Like we already know what's happening later, and now we have to go
Right.
back. Like it's just kind of that weird feeling.
Mhm.
I say show they had the whole valley mixed in the Vanderpump cast, and Jax made kind of a good point about marriage and divorce, and he said like, oh, I think that a lot of couples are getting divorced now, and when I think back to my parents, I never saw my dad because he worked all the time, and now that so many couples, they have more flexible schedules or they work from home, they're spending more time with each other, and that in turn can cause the divorce rate to go up. And that's something that, like, I guess I didn't fully think about. I thought about it in terms of COVID, but just
Mhm.
general, like it is so true. Like our people don't have the typical work schedules anymore, and like you are probably, not everybody, but people probably are seeing their spouses more than they might have like 10 years ago.
I know with me and my husband, we have pretty opposite schedules, and I do feel like when we do get the time together, like later after the kids are asleep and he gets home or whatever, we have way more to talk about
Mhm.
than probably like couples that already had dinner together and like just like had that extra time and like the same days off because we don't get that very much. But I do. I mean, I get my alone time, so I don't get as like irritated when he's like lurking around me
Yeah.
because I miss him because I don't get to see him all the time. And I do think, even though it can be really challenging, it is kind of a good thing too. And I feel like sometimes when I tell people, they're like, "Oh, but like when you guys get time together, like when you go on date nights, it's like we do like because we don't get to see each other all the time, we get to do like those little mundane things in the evenings together." So I could totally see like getting driven insane by your partner all the time.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if you and your husband both worked from home.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. I'd be like,
it would
and
cause strain.
it would, yeah, because it's just too much. It's like one of these distance makes the heart grow fonder. Like it really kind of does.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
But it is important to have your own space and to be able to do things yourself, and not just always be around your partner. I mean, honestly, it's the same with like friendships too.
Mhm.
Like if you're around each other all the time, like then when someone sniffles, you're like, "My God, can you just shut up?" Like like
Literally.
this, the little things just irk you way more.
I know. I know,
And
yeah, I definitely I mean, I enjoy having my alone time.
yeah.
Like, just sometimes I'm like, yeah, I wish we had more of a linked up schedule, but it's like it's not like we don't see each other. Like we still
Yeah,
get time together, but I still get me time too. Like after the kids are asleep, or like I don't know. I really do think that there could be some like longevity there because
for
of
sure.
that. Unfortunately, for and I still think like I don't know. I do. Especially if two people, like if there's like a stay-at-home mom and then a working dad, it might
Yeah.
be even because the mom still gets that alone time and then she gets like the husband to come home or whatever. But I feel like if you guys are both working same schedule and then both come home, you're both like spazzed out from work, then
Mm.
you're both taking care of the kids and you're both dealing with it, and then you're getting annoyed that they're getting annoyed at this about the kids or like something like that. Even if you don't have kids, it's like might have pets or just life in general. I do think when you're on top of each other all the time,
Yeah, you don't have a
right,
moment to decompress.
right. So
For like to relate that with like Brittany and Jax too. I mean, obviously their work schedules are way different because they are
reality
reality
TV,
stars and influencers. But for them, because they are a couple that was on TV, became a couple on TV, everything. When they do interviews and stuff, it's both of them. And
yeah,
they started their podcast and it's both of them. So in this episode at the beginning too, where Brittany had just had her lipo of her neck and she has the thing wrapped around her, Jax is like, we're just so busy. Like we have this. You are busy and you're on the go, but most of the things they're doing are together. So they still are spending so much time together, even though they might be traveling or doing this or that. And they probably don't really get time to just be
work
by
together
themselves.
and play together.
Yeah,
That's
I mean
a
that.
great combo.
No, it's not at all. And then we had like briefly, you sent me a snap about it, about the Kristen thing too. I completely agreed with what you said and what Jack said. I don't think that it's outlandish for him to be kind of questioning Kristen wanting to have a baby with Luke. Like
Right,
it is pretty fast.
right.
Like I don't think that that's, and everybody was acting like, "Oh my god, that's so horrible of Jax," but like I didn't think so.
I know, like, yeah, he was being a little intense about it, per usual.
Yeah,
But
for you.
I mean, if you're watching your friend who's been in like all these different relationships pretty quickly, and like every relationship she's in, I'll let that's what he was saying, that it's like she's always ready to have the baby. She's always trying to have a baby with somebody. And it's like, yeah, I am going to be concerned because you don't want to bring a kid into a situation that isn't stable. Like, why can't he voice that?
And I didn't know that Luke was living in a different state.
I know. And you're like trying to have a baby with them. I don't know. I didn't think Jax was that out of line.
Me either. The only other thing I wanted to bring up about the after show, which I saw this online quite a bit today, and it was how Lala compared Tom Sandoval and Tom Schwartz. She said that Katie and Ariana are turning into them, and then something about her is just like Tom. And she said, "Can no one else see the similarities here?" And I just thought that was horrible. And
No,
now
I
that
would
all
be
these,
insulted.
yes, and now that all these other things, blow out at the reunion, I mean, I could see that happening based off of this comment. Like, what are you trying to say?
I know, it's like, what even is that? Why would you say that? Whatever.
Yeah, she
Rude.
just gets, yeah, she just is rude. Um, and the last thing I wanted to say about Watch What Happens Live too was Lucas Gage was on there with Katie. And remember when he got married to Chris Appleton and then they got divorced after like a couple months, but they had only been dating for 2 months and they got
Right.
married and Kim Kardashian married him. Okay. Well, I was literally watching this and just like, oh my God, he is spilling so much tea right now. So he said that Andy was like, we have to talk about the marriage. Like, what was up with that? And I think he had a little to drink and was feeling loose with Andy. And he said, I don't know. I had a manic episode and I don't have any idea what I was doing and why I did that. And, it was crazy. And Andy's like, well, what about like the fur coats and Kim married you? And he's like, I don't know, Andy. I mean, I can't even really talk about it. And he's like, Shania Twain performed at their wedding. And he's like, I'm so sorry to Shania Twain because we completely wasted her time. And that was just so stupid. And then Andy like was pushing for more and he said, there's not much I can say about it because I signed an NDA. And I was just like, oh my God, like I can't believe that he said as much as he said on Watch What Happens. But then also that Chris Appleton had him sign an NDA about like what
Like,
was
the
going
episode was
on that he
right.
needed. Like, what on earth? I just thought it was crazy. And then he made a dig at Andy was like, so did he do your hair during that time? And said, well, I mean, all I'll say is my hair had never looked like that before and it wasn't good. And I was like, oh, you're saying he did something wrong and horrible to your hair? Like, what is happening? I was loving it. It was just fun to watch. And I just thought it was funny. You should look it up because it was just like it was like at the tail end of the episode and it was just funny. But anyway, those were my main thoughts about Vanderpump. And the Valley, did you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay. I think the Valley preview for the rest of the season seems like it has potential, but I feel with you. I don't know if I'm going to consistently watch it every week.
Right. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how Vanderpump goes and if we decide to hop onto a different show, which won't happen, but still. I think that I don't know if you have a different recommendation, but I'm just gonna go off of what you said earlier about the Call Her Daddy Megan Fox episode, and I'm gonna say listen to that. I mean, we already talked about it a lot, but it's worth listening to.
Yeah, I'll just do that as a recommendation too, because it was good.
Yeah, it was. I kind of wanted to watch the video because I just wanted to see Megan and her mannerisms, but
I know I watched because I like listened to it at lunch, and then when I was done with lunch, kept listening to it. So I watched like a little bit of her.
A little bit, yeah.
Not
a ton. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to follow us, give us ratings, reviews, all that jazz. And we will see you next time.
Bye.